Welcome, everyone, to the Completely Unnecessary Podcast for Tuesday, January 24th, 2023. Only 11 months until Christmas. That's Ian Ferguson.
Why is it almost February already?
Yeah. Oh, wow. 11 months till the best meal of the year. Back again. Wow. It's a month ago. I seemed like it was like a week and a half. I'm Pat Conjure. On the show today, we're talking about some Wata shenanigans that happened. Follow up to the Castlevania Rondo Counterfeit. That was bad. Unreal servers are gone today on the 24th. Google Stadia shut down. Some layoffs at some game journalism companies. And we'll have some Amico fun later on and other good stuff. Ian, you have a good weekend, bud?
It was all right. It was okay.
It was aight?
It was all right.
Aight.
What did I do? Well, we were supposed to play D&D on Sunday night, but our GM was sick, so we
General manager.
I always prefer DM, Dungeon Master, but GM I think is Game Manager or Game Master. I prefer Dungeon.
Okay.
Dungeony. And then what else? Watched a lot of basketball. That's what I do.
I was sure watching basketball like last year. I tried to get you on the bandwagon last year.
No, dude, I've always liked basketball, but I spent
NBA.
the past 3 years off of the NBA. Okay. I planned to go back to it last year. I mean, I've always followed it. I always follow, but watching all the time I haven't done in like 3 years. And I have never watched as much basketball as I have this year.
Good for you. You're into the game.
I have lost track of all the games I have watched. I watched 4.5 games last Sunday. Just like in a day. Anyway.
Ian is the personification of the I love this game thing they used to do like the late 90s, early 2000s. That was their big marketing push.
I just like to watch it. It's fun.
It's a good sport.
Yeah.
You can follow the strategy fairly easily.
Yeah.
The
college basketball was always what I like. Sure. I followed closer, but NBA I've followed since 2000, and I don't mind the modern game as much as I maybe once thought I did.
Well, maybe because it's spaced better now.
Yes,
thanks to little Steph Curry. Like the game, the geometry is different. There's more strategy, I think, than used to be. Get it to the big man, then maybe kick it out to an open shot, and that was basically your game.
Well, certainly more offensive and 3-based too.
Yeah. And there's less defense being played now because of, overall more fouling a little bit that they call, but it's a lot more entertaining even when I used to watch in the 90s, I feel. The game was a lot slower in the 90s.
No, I agree. I think overall the game has improved.
Yes, they are more skilled players. Like the average player has to be more skilled to play in the NBA today. On average.
Oh, sure.
There's no more like really...
There's a lot of power creep in the NBA.
Yeah, you can't get away with just having a bunch of guys that knock people in the head like the Knicks did in the 90s, which I love, but I mean, you can't survive more when your team was a bunch of Anthony Masons and Charles Oakleys. Like, it's kind of hard to do that. You need guys that can skillfully shoot the ball and, you know what I mean, and to pass. Like, it's kind of... The game's changed. Damn you, John Starks. How about you skillfully make a 3 in Game 7? Sorry. Holy shit.
I've also been messing with baking just a little bit more.
With bacon? Oh,
with baking. I made lemon bars. Do you like lemon bars?
You know what? I don't have them often. When I do, I'm like, this is pretty good.
All right, there's one in your fridge.
Oh, Ian! Fuck, win. Lemon bar. Thank you, Ian.
Yeah, I had one this morning. They're good.
This morning? Was it pick-me-up food for breakfast?
Well, because I had to let them chill overnight so they would set a little bit so I could cut them.
Okay, they have to, okay.
Because it's custardy. Okay. And I had one this morning, and I like it. It's they're good. You're not going to have it and be like, oh, this is gross. I could just do better.
You're too self-critical, Ian.
Well, baking is definitely the area where I need the most improvement.
Frank is always too critical about his cooking. Where he's like, the potatoes come out okay, and is this overcooked? I said, Frank.
I hold myself to a very high standard.
I said, Frank.
So does Frank.
You only had one disaster we all know about when you undercooked that duck that was bleeding when we cut it open. Other than that, that was I said to him, I was honest. That was a disaster. We knew it was. Other than that, Frank has never let us down.
I was there for that, wasn't I?
No, you weren't there. You weren't there for the duck. It was just me and Frank. You were there last. You were there was a barbecue with burgers, I think.
No, he did a bird on a grill once, but I remember it coming out fine. Yeah, okay.
He does tons of chicken with lemons and stuff. He's great at seasoning. No, you weren't there. The duck was a disaster because we had to put it back in the oven, and then like we started eating like 45 minutes late, and like there wasn't that much meat on the duck to begin with, and it was just like, damn it, intermittent fasting. I was fucking starving.
So, anyways, you'll enjoy it.
Thank you, Wayne.
You're
Real,
welcome.
real quick, we only have 2 full weekly podcasts left after this, 349 and 350. After that, we'll go on a semi-breakers thing where we'll come back with occasional big episodes. Like the Babylon 5 model, as I told people. Like
Sure.
Babylon 5 had their 5 seasons. And they
The
had
Futurama.
they had
The
occasional
seasons
movies,
end,
yes.
but we release 4 movies.
There you go. That's what it is.
Or 3. I can't even remember how many.
But thank you.
Futurama movies
A lot of people have all their kind words. I put out a channel update video, and people are saying, "Hey, I've listened to the podcast since I was in middle school. Now I'm getting my master's." And I'm like, "Great."
I haven't heard much about from people about the podcast ending, so maybe I should go look at that.
Are you being facetious? You haven't seen all the comments on?
No,
the
I haven't
videos?
seen a lot of stuff.
Oh, speaking of that, what did I do, Ian? I finished.
Yeah, what did you do?
I finished my Christmas video in mid-January.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did.
It was good.
It was good.
Norm called it my magnum opus.
It's a good one.
Oh, it's a good. You see, Ian.
No, I like it. The only thing, I'll be honest, it's not so much length. It was to get your point across and to say things. You broke the Pat the NES Punk illusion a number
I don't
of
think
times.
I did that
I
at
think
all.
you did.
Because the Shills actually called me Pat the NES Punk. We'll talk about more later, but
Sure.
the fact that they were stupid enough.
I loved it though. I mean, the editing was fantastic.
Thank you, Ian.
You're welcome.
That's like
the editing was extremely, extremely good.
that was probably 40 hours of editing.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, well, it shows you did a good job.
Thank you, Ian. Wow, Ian's complimenting more than I ever did. It's like my father never gave me compliments.
And I brought you a lemon bar.
And a lemon bar for that. But the fact that these tools said Pat the NES Punk and not just like Pat Contry.
Yeah.
I'm like, this
Well-
is teed up for me to use in a video because they're thinking I'm the character or just it's like what the fuck are these people?
It also shows they live in a fictional online world, which we'll get to more later.
Sure. But anyway, so when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And it happened. And people are liking it and digging it. It's almost at 100,000 views in a little over a week. And that's for NES Punk video, that has not happened.
That's great.
Usually they have a long tail. They'll get to over 100,000 views eventually, but it has not happened.
Well, I mean, Omiko is an evergreen topic.
It's going to be. Wata is also semi-green, kind of like Aqua.
Semi-green.
Semi-green. They responded to the Counterfeit Castlevania Rondo PC engine game we spoke about a couple weeks
Please
ago.
let me read this. Can I read this?
Oh, you can do whatever you want.
I'd like to read
You
this.
gave me a lemon bar. I'm yours.
The response on the PC Works Rondo of Blood reproduction. In June of 2021, Wata mistakenly authenticated a PCE Works Castlevania Rondo of Blood reproduction. Cert number. We learned about the PCE Works reproductions shortly after grading and have, hold on, because that's where I really want to lean in. And have taken steps to ensure we will be able to identify these types of reproductions from that point forward. The Wata team is also attempting to retrieve the game to ensure it is removed from our holder and the certification is voided. Come the fuck on! Come on! We learned about the PCE Works reproduction shortly after grading. Bullshit! That's such a huge load of hot, steaming, wet, fetid bullshit. What? You did not learn about them shortly after grading this. They've been around forever. You put out pamphlets talking about how you were the best in the industry for this. You didn't fucking learn about this after. Oh my fucking God. What?
I think, wow, that was vintage Ian moment. That was.
It's fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They didn't learn about him after. You're telling me Wata learned about PCE Works reproductions in the middle of 2020 fucking one?
It's They at that point they've been graded for a few years since 18. Yeah, that is true. But if they learned in 2021, why wouldn't they have tried to get the word out then and try to retrieve the bad?
Because it's a lie. It's a lie. It's bullshit. It's fucking patent bullshit.
Yeah.
You are not in the collecting industry, in the collecting game as deep as you say you are, and that's why you guys are ready to be the fucking the centerpiece of the grading industry and not know about PCE Works reproductions. You fucked up. Your grader wasn't as good as they thought. You thought they were.
I think it's funny that every layman knows that faking a seal on a CD game is 1,000 times easier than faking one on like a TurboGrafx game or NES game. Like there's a lot more that goes into it, and you don't have access. The average person would not have access to a facility to do an HSeam on an NES game. I've talked to people. It's like that's like a $25,000 piece of equipment. You can find sealed CDs anywhere. People that do shit like that, like that's not the issue. But the fact that, like you said, they're supposed to be the authority on here. They're supposed to be the experts. In my head, you would have one person, one grader at least, for every console that would be the expert to know about this stuff. And the fact that this happened is gives you no faith that what if they did a bunch of other TurboGrafx sealed ones or PC Engine ones that you don't know about? Or I don't know, there were smaller, I don't know, fucking all the CDI games that were CDs that were sealed and 3DOs that are CD games. Like it does not give you confidence at all. It just doesn't.
Well, no, I mean, and that's the thing. One, it's bullshit, but two, they should have just come out and said they made a mistake and we're sorry.
They lied.
It's bullshit, but they lied.
Yeah.
Because here's the other problem with it. You're telling me the world's greatest grading service didn't know about these until 2021? How can you have faith in them over anything?
Yeah, again,
about anything. They're showing themselves. It's insane.
And again, why would they wait a year and a half to like talk about this?
It's crazy.
They should have, if they really knew, they should have tracked down these copies and reimbursed the full value for the fuck up.
Okay. Anyways.
Or is that?
Anyway.
Yeah, it's bad, really bad, and then I'm sure CGC is licking their chops seeing this bad news. Now CGC is starting to get out there with their graded games. The Heritage Auctions are now auctioning off CGC games. So I think they're like, all right, cool, let's step in here. Let's get the competition. I thought that was going to be healthy when Wata came in to challenge VGA. It takes a third grading company, I guess, to do it right. We'll get hopefully the third time's the charm. I hope. You hope. I didn't think you would do that, Ian.
I didn't think I'd do that either, but it's just such a bold-faced fucking lie.
It's bad. It's really bad.
Okay.
Speaking of that, reason number 75 not to get a slab game, I guess. U.S. Customs destroyed a WATA certified copy of Pokemon Yellow. I'm guessing that seal was probably real. It was at some point. They should have put the seal into the box.
Yeah, it was...
Nice dives. This is
they cut it open and then they cut the front off, which is the weirdest part of it. The plastic case was taken apart and the box had its front cover ripped off and the seal had been discarded as well.
Jesus.
Obviously, nothing dangerous was found in the package, which is why it eventually made it to the customer. Yeah, I don't grade games, but I don't wish this on anyone.
This is horrible.
That's fucked up. And I mean, fuck customs. But
I'm not against people having sealed games. I know people out there have said that in weird videos. But wow, it's bad. So Night Dive Studio CEO
I feel real bad about that.
Night Dive Studio CEO Stephen Kick shared a story of his friend purchasing the above-mentioned copy of Pokemon Yellow. This is from a Go Nintendo article by Raw Meat Cowboy. What a name.
And it doesn't look like it was fucking ripped off. It looks like the front cover was cut off, which is the weirdest way to open a box I've ever seen.
Maybe they thought it was actually something that was bomb specific. That's like they sliced
so they
it.
weren't. So they
didn't open the box up. Like, this is weird. Was this like a bad X-ray scan? You think they would just X-ray this shit? Like a, I've never heard of this happening before. I've heard of them opening up sealed games. I think I've heard of that happening or tinkering with it. But I never heard them destroying something like this before. Hopefully it didn't. I mean, maybe there's a notoriety. You can sell this for an auction. It's the customs copy. Get it regraded. Send it back. This is the customs copy. Get the mark on it. There you go. I solved
that's kind of a funny, cute way to do it.
I solved it, Raw Meat Cow. You get it sent in. This has notoriety. This is now the most well-known sealed or unsealed Pokemon Yellow ever. There you go. We just solved it for you. Nintendo ramping up Switch production news coming out ahead of the Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel, Tears of the Kingdom. Semi-sequel, whatever. It's the same engine. It's a sequel. Sources familiar with the matter told Bloomberg. This is from IGN Ryan Dinsdale. Told Bloomberg that Nintendo has told suppliers and assembly partners that it plans to increase production for financial year 23 to 24, which would be usually March to March. So there you go. Beginning of April, yeah. And March is end of the last quarter, technically, for the fiscal.
Yeah.
The increase in production is also a result of component shortages, deciding for 2 years, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So you'd say, why would they do this? Well, if Nintendo thought that they were leaving money on the table because they couldn't produce enough Switches to get in people's hands, why not pump out more to squeeze as much blood from the Switch stone as you can?
Sure.
Especially with this game coming out, because obviously this was their killer app when the Switch came out. 6 years ago the Switch came out? Holy shit, 6 years ago. My God, 6 years ago. 17. Ian's eyes lit up. So I see that. So that means that they're ramping up production. Obviously, Switch Pro's not happening anytime soon.
No, clearly.
Probably. I mean, you're not going to see it this year.
We're not
going. You might see it next year. You might not see it.
At this point, we're just going to get a full system upgrade. We're not going to get a half measure Switch. It's
too late.
Yeah, I think it's way too late.
But it'd probably be backwards compatible. But yeah, those
probably backwards compatible. But I don't think it'll be a half step like a PS4 Pro. I think they'll just be like, here's the new.
It'll be a 3DS.
A Switch 2. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just going to do a full upgrade. It will be backwards compatible. Sure, because I'm sure the card slots have worked out. The little guys. That's fine. We're going to stay with the same.
No one's ever complained about them. The reliability, they hold the date. I mean, yeah, it's probably fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, that's it's interesting. So maybe we'll see the new Switch in end of 24 or sometime in 25. So you might get 9 years out of the Switch. You might get.
Yeah,
like that's OG like sort of lifespan for consoles. That's like NES that lasted like 10 years, just about. The Famicom lasted like a little over 10 years, about like 11 years. PC Engine was about 10 years.
I think so.
Genesis was about.
I think PC Engine
years.
was a solid 8 or 9. Never mind.
And then but then once you got later, they were more like 6 years. N64 was 6.5 years only.
Some of the Nintendo generations have been shorter. Some of the other consoles have had longer generations.
Well, no one bought the N64 all in all, so I mean that makes sense. Obviously, the Wii U was a catastrophe.
The GBA was an incredibly short generation. That was only like 5 years, I think, before the DS came out.
I mean, they made Wii U games for more than 4 years, but I mean that system was dead after like 3.5.
Which one?
Excuse me, the Wii U.
The Wii U. Oh, yeah.
It was 2012 to 17.
Yeah, honestly, it was done
4
after
years.
the first 2 years. Yeah, no one cared.
4 years. So that's still Nintendo's biggest failure because of that. Don't count the Virtual Boy, which didn't last a year. That's a novelty item. OG Game Boy lasted like a decent amount, right? Several years before they went to the color entirely.
Yeah, but I mean, they redid it with the Pocket, which had a better screen and better battery life.
It's the same games, though. It's the same platform.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I mean, like platform. That's what I mean. But all right, cool. You know what's your favorite platform, Ian? UltimateNintendo.com.
Sure is.
That's your favorite platform. That platform, you can get RBI baseball stickers. You can get limited stickers. You can get a limited t-shirt. You get the CU Podcast enamel pins. You get RBI baseball stickers, certain guidebooks as well. You cannot get the Bobby the Brain figure right there, but you can get that stuff at UltimateNintendo.com. I should buy a Bobby the Brain t-shirt. I don't know why I haven't, since I worship Bobby Heenan. I don't know why I should do that. I'm on Twitch on Wednesdays, twitch.tv/CountryCode. Always having fun. Ian will not be there this Wednesday. And and the NES app is updated. It's updated. Where's the update button?
Again, or are we just making sure people know about the current update?
Oh, I'm just getting it in just to make sure people know. The NES app is updated. Ultimate Game Guide for NES on iOS and Google Play. Check it out. Best version of the app ever, 3.0. Good job, Jerry at Embraceware for getting it done. Unreal servers are officially gone today, the 24th. The Epic servers are gone. So the ones that have been around for literally 20 years plus are gone. 4 years for the Unreal Tournament 99. And then I guess there's probably original Unreal server still on playing the OG Deck 16, which to this day is one of the best designed multiplayer stages ever. If you're familiar with Deck 16, then became Deck 32. Even Ian knows it. He's not even a huge Unreal fan.
No, but I played a little bit
that
of it.
And Facing Worlds for Capture Flag are like known as like really well designed. More Deck 16, but Facing Worlds is interesting, where it's the two castles and it's like
okay,
you're in space.
Yeah.
You've heard of it.
Yes,
those are the two most famous Unreal maps, and they always update them for each iteration because they're great maps. So great. So now in the future, you can play your Unreal Tournament X officially, which is the 2007 one, which will be cross compatible. I'm sure I'll get into it, but that doesn't have the modes they got rid of Assault, which was a mind blowing mode, Assault, when it came out in the original Unreal Tournament, and then in 2003 they did it, I believe. 2003 we would gloss over. Even I never really played 2003. 2004 assault mode is what I played competitively like most of the time. It's incredible. You ever played an assault mode before?
I don't know assault mode. No,
it's team mode. You get objectives. There's stories though. It's like, oh, capture these missile silos, and it's like, dude, it was super unique. I'm not sure if a game does it now.
And was it versus or?
It's versus. So you can have bots, but you play offense and defense. Two teams defend. You defend the goals.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
And there's checkpoints that open up things for the next part of the level.
I played a version of that. I can't remember what it was called, but I really liked it. I think there was like a version of that on the first remake Star Wars Battlefront. That sounds familiar to me. I think I played that, and it was really, really fun.
Yeah. Because then it's like, can you beat the time if you defend first? Can you do it quicker then? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, I really liked that. That was a lot of fun.
You usually get a time limit, like 5-6 minutes.
Yeah, and it switches off at various locations, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you hit a checkpoint, it opens up the next part of the stage. So when you respawn closer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Battlefront part was not. That was not it wasn't exactly the same, but it was similar.
But
it's a fun way to play.
Very unique stages. They even threw in, like, obviously the guns you could fire, people that you can blow up. Like, God, I'm so pissed off. But there'll be private servers up. People said, hey, Pat, we have private servers. It'll still be alive. But I tried to play it quickly in the past weeky, and I told you this.
Yeah.
I thought I had it downloaded on Good Old Games. I don't. I just have Unreal Gold, the original. I don't have Unreal Tournament. This is how silly it fucking is. Because I had purchased, obviously the real version way back. Then I repurchased it just to get the code. So even if I found my one with the code, it probably wouldn't work anymore. The serial number wouldn't work. I couldn't quickly purchase the game. I couldn't just buy it for $5 to play it. So I had to because that's the one time where I was like, this sucks. Like, this really sucks. Because I would have gladly purchased all of them just to have them for posterity.
I just think it's funny that you say this because I have talked about emulation before and how if I can't buy something, I'm going to get it. And you're like, well, I don't know that accessibility is. You do the same thing. You want something that you can't pay for, you pirate it.
This is a game, though, with servers versus a ROM.
Okay, Patrick, you can't buy something, you pirate it. It's how it goes. You let me buy it, and I will pay you money.
Oh, come on. You're liking this to play Tom Sawyer on the NES? It's not quite the same thing. This is a game that people still play. Give me a break, Ian. Come on. You're killing me. You're killing me,
The principle is the same. You couldn't buy it, so you pirated it. The principle
Tom Sawyer wasn't available till 2 weeks ago. This Unreal was.
Anyway.
Google Stadia has been shut down via about a week ago, the 18th.
I'll say this about Google Stadia. It lasted longer than we thought it was going to by a great margin. And I'm happy it helped my friends see some of their games through to completion. It helped some indie developers a lot. It was a bad idea. It was a bad service. But, there were some silver linings there. And that's really all I can say about it. Like any other Google product, it had an expiration date on it. And they released an update, I think, that allows you to use the Google Stadia controller with other systems or PCs now.
It's good. Also just garbage.
Which supposedly is supposed to be great because that was like the best thing about the Stadia, according to people, is that the controller was, excuse me, Jesus. The controller was really good.
It looks like a decent controller. I mean,
I'd have to feel it.
They hired someone to make a controller. I don't know if they made them in Google's offices, but
sure.
And then it looks like some of the publishers put out ways to transfer their save data over from Google to like whatever, like Borderlands. There's a save utility they came out with, so that's cool. They were trying to help people out with some of these games. It looks like, so that's cool. And remember, Google refunded everything.
Yeah.
So you got a free controller. Maybe horror purchasers, you got it for free. So you should have got it early. You should have bought them. You should have bought. Imagine someone bought 20 controllers.
Jesus,
that would have been fun.
Unfortunately, there's been a lot of layoffs in the industry lately. GameSpot and Giant Bomb was hit with layoffs, and Microsoft's Xbox division laid off roughly 10,000 people, including pretty much the entire, I think it's 343 development team, which is behind Halo. I know with the Microsoft layoffs, at the very least, the Xbox related stuff, I'm sorry. I just think it's gross that we're in this position where we're constantly acquiring studios. it's like these video game companies view this as some sort of fucking arms race with any sort of positive end. They keep buying up studios and laying people off in the hundreds and thousands. And, this happens in business, but this has been an incredibly common thing that has happened many times this year in video games and last year. And it all comes down to greed. It all comes down to these companies wanting to grab all the companies they can so they look better, and it costs thousands of jobs.
Yeah, let's just be clear, though. This was not all Xbox jobs. This was across all of Microsoft.
Oh, okay.
It included Xbox and Halo Studios jobs. Probably they overhired, obviously, and then obviously they probably bought some companies.
They didn't overhire. They bought too much.
Well, we went on this over the phone. The number of employees keeps increasing every year, like dramatically. So at some point, you cannot keep increasing like that and expect it to go well. It sucks. Especially as I think I read about one of the people that came back to try to help finish the new Halo title was involved with this, and now they're gone, or something weird happened. It looked like where, yeah.
I think it's weird. I think it's just company greed. It's corporate greed.
I'm not sure there's anything to do with the Activision Blizzard thing. That's going to still take forever to go through, if that even goes through. If they get through the lawsuit with that, yeah, it stinks. And then obviously you had the GameSpot and Giant Bomb layoffs. We talked about the acquisition that happened with this, I think, last year or a couple years ago, whenever the acquisition happened with what was it? Fandom. When they bought out the basically the one company that owns everything. Company owns Wikipedia. Got GameSpot, Giant Bomb, Metacritic, and More or Less Fault. Yeah, we spoke about this at the time.
It was on January 18th, 2022. Microsoft announced its intent.
Okay, I thought you meant this acquisition of. I'm talking about the Giant Bomb thing now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the Microsoft. Sorry.
Yeah, the fandom company bought out all these websites, right?
Right.
And then unfortunately, we know that when you do this acquisition, people are going to get laid off. It's just when. So they laid off 40 to 50 people across the company, and that included some Giant Bomb and GameSpot employees. And so GameSpot, I mean, it's not like they're folding up, but obviously it stinks. And it's like at this point, you don't see any game news site growing anymore. At this point, it's just standing pat or shrinking. I guess IGN's probably doing okay,
Yeah.
But at this point, what do you got? GameSpot, you got IGN. I guess you count Giant Bomb in there. I don't usually associate them with news sites as the other ones versus content creation, but they have news. But who else do you, after that? Like you're starting to
Kotaku.
Kotaku's just, they're everything though. But yeah, they have game news.
It's games related, but I don't go there for game news. I honestly don't go anywhere for game news. It's brought to me on Twitter. It's retweeted onto my timeline. I followed the right people to get the info that I want. And honestly, I load up Steam and I just scroll through my queue and I learn about games that way. Like it's just I can't remember the last time I've gone to a video game website of any sort and been presented with
and just look at the news
the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Case in point, it's a different world, right? That's what it happens. So yeah, I think we will always have an IGN around. I guess they're the big one, or a GameSpot in some capacity. I think you'll always have room for like a couple of big gaming sites.
Yeah.
Maybe like the same way like you're never going to run out of all the newspapers. You probably still have like the big ones probably around in some capacity. I think you'll always have like the Washington Post and the New York Times. You know what I mean? You're going to have the LA Times. You're always going to have is it LA Times? I think it is. You're always going to have like the big city ones and maybe some, but like you're never going to go back to how it was where you had, every state had like 4 big newspapers that operated.
Oh yeah, no,
It's different. Like you're always going to have like I grew up with the Star Ledger. That'll probably always be around because that's been around forever. But yeah, the legacy ones might be around. Star Ledger's still around. It should be. Yeah, it's still around. That's the Newark based. That was the paper we had. That's when we got delivered. So
we had the good old fashioned Buffalo News.
They still around? They hanging in there?
Buffalo News is still around.
All that Dominic Hasek news that would come out to the game.
Jesus Christ, man!
It's the only Pat LaFontaine. No, he was Islanders.
Fucking really pulling back.
I mean, he's a Hall of Fame goalie. Hasek. Who else was on the Sabres in the 80s and early 90s?
No, I mean,
was there anyone else that was a Hall of Famer?
Miroslav Shatan. No, he wasn't a goalie though.
I mean, any Hall of Famer in Buffalo.
No, I don't know.
At that time, was Shatan a Hall of Famer? Probably was close.
Miroslav.
See you hockey cast now.
I've been meaning to like throw in a hockey game and see if suddenly I can watch it again.
No,
I haven't yet. I haven't like tried.
Okay.